Welcome to 21st Sports, and we're talking the Seattle Seahawks at the New York Jets in their Week 4 matchup played October 2nd, 2016. And this was an exciting game. Seattle on the road going to New York. Two tough defenses, but Russell Wilson really stepping up big time, playing clutch. He was in this game playing injured, and he really had a big game, just really toughing it out. But the first points were scored by the Jets. Nick Folk hit a 34-yard field goal to put New York up 3-0. That was the only score in the first quarter, as this is a really tough, hard-fought game. But then in the second quarter, Russell Wilson hit C.J. Spiller for an 8-yard touchdown pass, as Russell Wilson was making some incredible throws throughout this game. But right here was 7-3, Seattle taking the lead in the second. Russell Wilson then hooked up with Tanner McEvoy for a 42-yard touchdown, and it was 14-3 Seahawks over the Jets. But then right before halftime, Ryan Fitzpatrick hit Brandon Marshall for a 17-yard touchdown, and it was a 4-point game heading into intermission with the score Seattle 14, New York 10. Then in the third quarter, just as in the first, the only score we saw was a field goal, but this time it was the Seahawks instead of the Jets who had scored the lone field goal in the first. But here in the third, Hushka with a 33-yard field goal to extend the Seahawks lead to 7 with the score 17-10 Seattle. And that would be the score heading into the fourth quarter when Russell Wilson threw his third touchdown of the game. This one to Christian Michael, a 6-yard touchdown pass. And now the Seahawks were up by 2 touchdowns with the score 24-10. And then with about 4 minutes left, Stephen Hauschka hit a 53-yard field goal. That made it 27-10 as the Seahawks were starting to run away with this one. But then with just over 2 minutes left before... just before the 2-minute warning, like I said, a little over 2 minutes left in the game, we had kind of a crazy play where it looked like it would have been an incomplete pass, but they ruled it a fumble as Cliff Averill got his hand on the ball as Fitzpatrick looked to be throwing, but they called it a fumble, and Sharon Peak ended up picking it up at his feet, and he ran it 42 yards for the touchdown. So a fumble recovery for a touchdown. I mean, mostly everybody kind of giving up on the play. It was kind of a fluke thing. The call could have went either way. And it ended up making it a 10-point game with the score 27-17, but it wouldn't really matter because it didn't make a difference in the outcome of the game as the Seahawks would hold on to win this one by double digits. So Seattle going on the road, picking up the victory against the Jets, a big win for the Seahawks. They're now 3-1 on the season. The Jets fall to 1-3. And you see the difference in the quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, 3 touchdowns. Fitzpatrick, 3 interceptions. Of course, both these defenses were playing really well, and Russell Wilson really had to bring his A game just to put up those points and those numbers, and he really did step up big time in this game against a really tough New York defense. Russell Wilson was 23 for 32, 309 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Christian Michael was the leading rusher in the game with 18 carries for 58 yards. And the leading receiver, Jimmy Graham, the tight end for Seattle, 6 receptions for 113 yards, as him and Russell Wilson have really been clicking this season. Doug Baldwin had 4 receptions for 54 yards. And then we look at Ryan Fitzpatrick for the Jets, 23 for 41, 261 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. And those 3 interceptions really is what cost the Jets this game. They also couldn't really get much going on the ground as the Seahawks defense was really stuffing the run as they shut down Forte, just 14 carries for 27 yards. And then Brandon Marshall had 4 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. It's kind of the one bright spot on the offense for New York. When we look at the defense for Seattle, Wagner had a sack, Bennett had a sack, Averill had a sack, and Wright had a sack. Also 2 interceptions for Richard Sherman, 1 interception for Earl Thomas. Averill also had a forced fumble to go along with his sack. And then we look at the Jets defense, and Screen had a sack, Williams had a sack. And then we look at the first downs, pretty close, 21-20, with a slight edge going to the Seahawks. On third down, the Jets were actually 7 of 15, 46%, and they were 1 for 1 on fourth down. The Seahawks were just 3 for 10 on third down, just 30%, as the Jets defense was making it tough for them to move the chains. But the total net yards, 354 for Seattle, 305 for New York. And then we look at the penalties in this game. Both teams with 7 penalties apiece. 71 penalty yards against the Seahawks, 60 penalty yards against the Jets. The Jets did have one fumble in this game, but they recovered their own fumble. They did not lose it. But we look at the red zone, 2 for 3 for Seattle, 66%. And for New York, they were 1 for 2, 50% in the red zone. And the time of possession, 30 minutes, 45 seconds for Seattle, 29 minutes, 15 seconds for New York. So it's pretty close, on the numbers when you look at it. And the Jets defense really did a good job, but Russell Wilson stepping up, making the plays, and really throwing just on point, 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. And then on the other side, you saw Fitzpatrick, as he is known to do, making those mistakes, throwing those interceptions, of course, against the number 1 defense in the NFL, Seattle Seahawks, as they forced those turnovers and they shut down the run, and they came up with the W. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Which plays and performances stuck out to you? Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you had a good day and had a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.